Here are today's top stories. 2 persons are killed in another bomb attack that rocked Isulan Sultan Kudarat on Sunday evening. President Duterte meets the Filipino community as he arrives in Israel for a 4-day visit. The National Economic and Development Authority proposes a transition period as the Philippine economy adapts to federalism. And an honest security guard is hailed as this year's most outstanding citizen of Baguio City. Good day, I'm William Theo.
And I'm Pia Roses Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom.
Isulan Sultan Kudarat was hit by another explosion Sunday night, which left 2 dead and at least 13 others injured.
Malacanang has denounced the attack, which followed a similar incident only a few days earlier. Rom Dulfo has this report.
An explosion rocked Isulan Sultan Kudarat. According to local police, the explosion happened around 7:35 in the evening on Sunday in front of an internet cafe. A suspected improvised explosive device, or IED, was used in the bombing. A teenage male died in the explosion while another succumbed to her injuries. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde condemned the latest bomb attack and vowed anew to find the perpetrators. The PNP chief suspects the Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, or BIFF, are also behind the second bombing. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte ordered on Monday increased police visibility in Isulan in the wake of the second explosion. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque also expressed sympathy for the fatalities and asked residents to report anything suspicious to the authorities. The incident happened about 400 meters away from the area that was hit by a similar explosion last August 28 during Isulan's foundation anniversary and Hamungaya Festival. Sultan Kudarat Governor Pax Dadatu has offered a 1 million peso reward for any information leading to the arrest of the August 28 bombing suspects. On Saturday, the Police Regional Office 12 released the cartographic sketch of the suspect in the first bombing in Isulan. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
The Philippine National Police is now conducting pursuit operations against the persons or groups responsible for the latest bomb attack in Isulan Town, Sultan Kudarat. PNP spokesperson Benigno Durana says the PNP is mobilizing all available security forces in pursuit operations against those responsible for the bombing. Durana says the PNP joins the entire nation in strongly condemning this senseless act of terror for whatever motive its perpetrators may have. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde has already directed police units in Soxgargan to further intensify conduct of checkpoints, police visibility patrols, and focused intelligence and law enforcement operations. He also ordered the relief of the police officials of Sultan Kudarat and Isulan Town to pave the way for a thorough and impartial investigation.
President Rodrigo Duterte took the time to meet with the Filipino community in Israel. The president was emotional as Filipinos welcomed him upon his arrival in the Ramada Hotel in Jerusalem. Duterte praised Israel for its good treatment of Filipino workers compared to other Middle Eastern countries. He also described Israel as one of the most beautiful places an individual can visit. The president arrived in Israel past 1 in the morning Manila time for his 4-day official visit. The Philippines is expected to sign deals with Israel on labor, scientific cooperation, and investments. The government is also likely to look for military hardware for the armed forces and the PNP. President Duterte is the first Philippine leader to visit Israel in more than 60 years of diplomatic ties between the two countries.
The remarks made by detained Senator Laila de Lima accusing President Rodrigo Duterte of plotting to unseat Vice President Leni Robredo and tap former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos to replace him were branded by Malacanang as prison hallucination. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque reminded de Lima that it was not within the president's power to unseat a vice president. That is the function of the Supreme Court. De Lima claimed Duterte was demolishing the public image of Robredo while selling what she called Marcos's hovering fraudulent victory to the people. She also described this plan as a Duterte-sponsored Marcos comeback. Duterte earlier expressed plans to step down if Marcos wins his election case against Robredo. He also said that he found Robredo unqualified to be president. De Lima is presently detained in Camp Crame over her alleged involvement in illegal drugs during her term as Justice Secretary.
Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo reminded critics of President Rodrigo Duterte that protecting women's rights remains as the president's top priority. This is not meant to be overshadowed by his recent remark about the high number of rape cases in Davao City. In a press statement, Panelo explained that Duterte was merely advancing a theory that rapists are motivated because of a woman's beauty. The lawyer pointed out how Duterte reveres his late mother, Soledad, who he has put in place projects and measures that protect the rights of women and advance their cause. Among these measures are Davao City's local version of the health law, the protection of female migrant workers in Kuwait from exploitation, and the appointment of women in distinction in key government posts. Earlier, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque defended Duterte's statement, citing differences in humor standards in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Still to come, the National Economic and Development Authority proposes a transition period as the Philippine economy adapts to federalism. The Army slams urban poor group Kadamay for attempting to occupy a housing project for soldiers in Bacolod City. These and more when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ang Task Force Bangon Marawi sa pamamagitan ng Subcommittee on Business and Livelihood kasama ang lokal na pamahalaan ng Marawi City, World Food Program, Food and Agriculture Organization, Community and Family Services International at ang Philippine Information Agency ay naglunsad ng kahuyagan sa Marawi City Hall grounds. Ang kahuyagan ay may temang Siyap sa Marawi Gagaw Ko Pagtaw, ay isang serye ng pamamahagi ng tulong sa kabuhayan sa mga internally displaced persons na gagawin buwan-buwan. Ang aktibidad na ito ay sumisimbolo sa synergy ng TFBM at mga kasosyo nito sa pagtiyak na ang mga apektadong residente ng Marawi City ay direktang makakatanggap ng tulong at tulong sa kabuhayan. Sinabi ni Secretary Eduardo Del Rosario, Chairperson ng TFBM at Housing and Urban Development Coordinating Council, na patuloy na ibibigay ng gobyerno ang suporta sa mga IDP. Samantala, pinasalamatan ni Assistant Secretary Felix Castro Jr., Field Office Manager ng TFBM, ang iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno at mga organisasyong pangkawanggawa para sa kanilang suporta sa kabuhayan ng mga IDP. Binanggit din niya ang patuloy na suporta ng TFBM para sa mga ito. Ang Kagawaran ng Kalakalan at Industriya o DTI ay nagbahagi ng 9 na kariton ng pagkain na may bisikleta kasama ang mga starter kits na binubuo ng kalan at LPG set, kagamitan sa kusina, sangkap at starter kit sa 11 na benepisyaryo. Sa pamamagitan ng Sustainable Livelihood Program nito, ang Department of Social Welfare and Development ay naglabas ng 10,000 pisong seed capital fund sa 140 benepisyaryo. Ang ilan sa kanilang mga ipinanukalang pinagkukunan ng kabuhayan ay ang pag-weaving, paggawa ng damit, tindahan ng komunidad, produksyon at pangangasiwa ng manok, pangingisda, paggawa ng sabon, rice retailing at floating fish cage. Ang Technical Education and Skills Development Authority o TESDA ay nagsasagawa ng pagpaparehistro ng scholarship at skills demonstration sa haircutting, manicure at pedicure. Ang Kagawaran ng Agrikultura o DA ay nagbigay ng 27 bags ng urea, fertilizer at 500 packs ng buto ng gulay, habang ang Department of Agrarian Reform or DAR ay nagbigay ng 25 bags na binhi ng mais para sa mga kalalakihan at 25 bags ng buto ng gulay para sa mga kababaihan. Nagbigay din ng tulong ang CFSI para sa 3 benepisyaryo nito para sa kagamitan para sa barbershop, 6 para sa sidecars, 2 kagamitan para sa paggawa ng mamandyang, 1 para sa kagamitan sa paggawa ng browa, 1 para sa slipper vending at 1 para sa ready-to-wear vending. Ipinagkaloob ng FAO ang hanggang 100 iba't ibang butil ng gulay para sa mga benepisyaryo ng mga kababaihang IDPs, habang ang WFP ay nagbigay ng mga input ng pangingisda, mga tool sa pagsasaka, iba't ibang binhi ng halaman at tag 50 kilong sako ng bigas para sa 4,380 pamilya. Samantala, nag-set up ang PIA ng exhibit, may telebisyon at photo gallery para ipakita ang mga pagsisikap sa rehabilitasyon ng iba't ibang ahensya na miyembro ng TFBM at mga kasosyo nito para sa Marawi City at mga residente nito. Sa pamamagitan ng rolling store nito, ang National Food Authority ay nagbebenta ng NFA rice na nagkakahalaga ng 27 piso kada kilo. Kasama si Lou Antonio para sa Bayan, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Business groups in Boracay welcome the initial list of compliant establishments that will be allowed to open by October 26. This as the Department of Tourism listed 25 hotels and resorts that have complied with necessary government permits and clearances. The Boracay Foundation Incorporated says they are glad that some of their members are already allowed to operate during the island's opening. The Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry Boracay chapter likewise confirmed that among those compliant establishments are their members. The PCCI urged the DOT and Interagency Task Force for Boracay Rehabilitation to also fast-track the release of accreditation permits for compliant establishments. About 41% of the DOT's target of 5,000 rooms are ready for operation by October 26. The task force will conduct a dry run for local tourists from October 15 to 25.
The National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, recommends a 15-year transition period in implementing federalism to allow the economy to adapt to the new system. Miguel Hill tells us more.
The National Economic and Development Authority says the switch to a federal system of government should be carried out in 5 phases spanning 15 years to avoid disrupting the economy's growth momentum. NEDA detailed its proposed transition roadmap, which has been earlier submitted to the Constitutional Review Committee. The roadmap involves reviewing and amending economic provisions of the Constitution, amending the Local Government Code and Administrative Code, activating the transitional government, preparing to operationalize the regions, and ending the ratification of the amended Constitution. The cabinet-level economic development cluster fleshed out the costs and implications of the proposed shift to federalism to the country's economy and fiscal administration. Among the points raised is the relocation of the country's capital outside Metro Manila. NEDA took note of the additional costs of running the federal government, which will be shouldered either by the federated regions or by the main government through an increased personnel services budget. NEDA also pointed out the funds and spending mismatch in the proposed federalism charter. Estimates show that the split in the spending between the federal government and federated regions is not 50-50, but rather 60-40 to 80-20, depending on the distribution of expenses. The NEDA presentation also pointed out concerns about uncertainty in the business environment and the cost of doing business as implied by the proposed federal charter. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
A senior economist expects that inflation in August further climbed from the 5-year high rate of 5.7% in July. IHS Markit Chief Economist for Asia Pacific Rajiv Biswas says price pressures are peaking last month with inflation seen at 5.8% year-on-year. He added that price pressures are expected to moderate slightly by the fourth quarter of the year before significantly dropping by the first quarter of 2019. Philippine monetary officials are expecting inflation to soar even higher in August, about 5.9%. The BSP traced the upside risks to increases in the prices of rice and key food items due to weather-related factors that affected supply. Other possible contributors are the hike in the prices of gasoline and LPG, as well as the power rates of Meralco.
2 rescue speedboats of the Philippine Army and Philippine Coast Guard were damaged when an improvised bomb exploded at the Masbate City port in Bapor Village, Masbate City. The improvised explosive device was set up by still unidentified suspects near the Coast Guard office. The police regional office said no injury was reported. This was the second time an explosion hit the port area of Masbate City. Last August 2nd, an IED also exploded in the area and damaged 2 motorboats owned by fishermen. The Army's Infantry Division meanwhile said security measures would have to be stepped up following the explosion. The Army suspects that members of the New People's Army were responsible for the said incident.
The Philippine Army has assailed urban poor group Kadamay for occupying the housing site for uniformed personnel in Barangay Felisa, Bacolod City last week. At least 1,000 informal settlers led by Kadamay and other militant groups camped out at Ciudad Felisa until they were ordered to leave by National Housing Authority. The group tried to claim the unoccupied houses in the area despite already being awarded to soldiers, police, firefighters, and jail personnel. In a press statement, Captain Ruel Llanes, spokesperson of the 303rd Brigade, called the group house grabbers. Llanes accused Kadamay of gathering homeless families to demand for houses and then selling the units once these are awarded to them. He added that organizers would extort money from informal settlers. Llanes also criticized the urban poor group for conniving with the New People's Army, which issued a press statement praising Kadamay Negros. Up next, 33 officials and personnel face charges for the fire that gutted the NCCC Mall in Davao City last year. An honest security guard is hailed as this year's most outstanding citizen of Baguio City. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
The Filipino. Hardworking. Hopeful. Determined. Yet prosperity remains elusive for many. For so much potential lies untapped, underdeveloped. An enterprising culture can unleash them. To enable the Filipino to rise from poverty and reach for prosperity. But for transformation to be meaningful and sustainable, we must create bigger waves. Through efforts focused and united. This is the heart of Pilipinas, Angat Lahat. The government and the private sector, gathered together by the Office of the Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship. Thinking as one, aspiring as one, moving as one. To alleviate poverty and generate jobs through MSME development, championing the 3 M's by linking major players with humble enterprises. To share insights, resources, and output. To collaborate, to succeed, not only within the nation, but across the region.
My promise to you is we are here for you to help. You all will succeed.
We shall work hand in hand, creating paths that will lead our people and our communities toward a truly inclusive, innovation-led, shared prosperity.
May we work as one in building a progressive and prosperous society where upliftment and opportunities are available and accessible to all.
Pilipinas, Angat Lahat, an alliance of business organizations that enables, catalyzes, and propels our MSMEs for true inclusive growth, for a future that is prosperous for all. And this is simply the beginning. Dahil ang pagsulong, pinagtutulong-tulungan. Sama-sama, walang maiiwan. Pilipinas. Angat lahat.
Students in Zamboanga learn Islamic values not only for them to understand their faith, but also to be accepting of other religions. One teacher shows us the importance of learning Arabic language and Islamic values in everyone's lives. Janice Cave has this story.
Young Muslim learners enrolled in public schools in Zamboanga City are taught Islamic values 2 days a week and learn the Arabic language 3 days a week. That is on top of the regular curricular subjects. This means that the Arabic language and Islamic values education program, or ALIVE, is inculcated in them throughout their long years of schooling. Hajjah Sarah Handang, who started as head of the DepEd's Madrasa Education School Program, or MEP, in 2015, stressed the importance of educating the heart, not just the mind. Handang says the values being promoted by MEP are the fear of God, humanitarianism, concern for the environment, and patriotism. Before allowed to teach, ALIVE instructors undergo a 25-day enhancement training in ALIVE and English academics, including writing of lesson plans. To further strengthen the program, Handang has initiated the teaching of Arabic language to school principals, where ALIVE is integrated. ALIVE subjects are not just religious in nature. It is also considered as madrasa training, but the many madrasas in the city holding classes on weekends are overseen by the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos. Handang said she has seen many positive behavioral changes among ALIVE students. They exhibit higher tolerance towards people belonging to other religions, something that even Christians taking the program are practicing. For Handang, the MEP is a model of inclusive education. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The Judicial and Bar Council has opened the application for the Associate Justice post in the Supreme Court following the appointment of Chief Justice Teresita Leonardo de Castro. Interested applicants are required to submit 2 complete sets of application or recommendation, together with all the documentary requirements, not later than 4:30 p.m. of October 1. Among the notable requirements are their sworn statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALN, for up to the last 10 years. The issue on the non-filing of SALNs was one of the issues raised against ousted Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. De Castro technically became the first female Chief Justice and the 24th top magistrate of the High Court after the appointment of Sereno was found to have been invalid. De Castro, who retires on October 8, would only lead the Supreme Court for less than 2 months.
Some 30 individuals are facing criminal and administrative charges related to the fire that burned down the NCCC Mall in Davao City last year. The Interagency Anti-Arson Task Force has filed charges against top NCCC Mall officer and employees and building contractor AC Rockport Construction and Development. Also charged were personnel from the Davao City Office of the Building Official, PEZA Mactan Economic Zone officials, and Bureau of Fire Protection Davao. 33 of the families of the victims have been informed of the cases readied against those held responsible for the fire. Any efforts to speed up proceedings or file heavier cases against them will be up to the courts.
The Philippines finishes its stint at the 18th Asian Games in Jakarta, Indonesia, with 4 golds in its medal harvest. The gold medals in weightlifting, golf, and skateboarding placed Team Philippines at number 19 out of the 45 that participated in the ASEAN. Filipino athletes also bagged 2 silvers and 15 bronze medals. Indonesia was a top-notcher with 31 gold, 24 silver, and 43 bronze medals for a total of 98 medals. 15 of them won in Pencaksilat, an Indonesian traditional martial art. Meanwhile, Philippine Olympic Committee President Ricky Vargas noted that the Philippines does not look primed to emerge as champion of the 30th Southeast Asian Games, which the country will be hosting in November next year. He called for improvements in grassroots development and talent identification, and to look at improving in sports where the country can be competitive in. He also advised to train athletes well, provide for their needs, keep them motivated, inspired, and focused, and shield them from politics. A security guard is hailed as one of the most outstanding citizens of Baguio City.
The guard was recognized by the city government for his honesty and dedication at work. More on this from Maricor Zapata.
A security guard led this year's Outstanding Citizens of Baguio awardees, the highlight of the 109th Baguio Charter Day celebration last Saturday. Guillermo Batad Cortez was nominated by the owner of a food chain branch in the city where he works. Lawyer Betty Lourdes Tabanda, head of the search committee of the Society of the Outstanding Citizens of Baguio, or SOCOB, said Cortez' honesty and dedication to service were the reasons for his bagging the city's top award for 2018. Cortez returned the bag containing 1 million pesos, which was left in Maharlika Livelihood Complex and Shopping Center in downtown area when he was still a guard there. SOCOB President Dr. Elma Donaal said Cortez returning of the money was an exemplary act, which must be recognized. She pointed out Cortez did it not just once, but on several occasions. Last Wednesday, Baguio City Mayor Mauricio Domogan announced the name of Cortez as one of the 10 outstanding citizens of Baguio this year. The search for outstanding citizens of Baguio is the most coveted award in this mountain resort city. It is the highest award the local government confers to a Baguio resident who can receive the accolade only once. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Maricor Zapata.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Will, we had a story last week where we spoke about fad diets. So I wanted to know, and probably everyone else wants to know, how do you stay in shape?
Okay. Well, actually, I think the best way is, they say, tried, tested, and mother-approved methods like good exercise, eating healthy, and be moderate in everything that you do. If you do decide to try fad diets, or at least interested in it, I think you have to consult your doctor before you do anything drastic. I think.
Have you ever tried them before?
No, not really. I'm the type who enjoys working out, who enjoys
So it's like
sports.
a lifestyle thing for you already? That's
Yes,
good.
yes, but
it's part of your daily routine.
But to be honest, I take in a lot of sweets. That's one thing.
So
I
you have a
control.
sweet tooth?
Super.
Especially for donuts.
Yes, for donuts and ice cream and cake and chocolates.
Donuts with bacon and cheese.
Yes, and waffles with bacon inside.
Okay, enough of donuts. So let's take another look at today's top stories. 2 persons are killed in another bomb attack that rocked Isulan, Sultan Kudarat on Sunday evening. President Duterte meets the Filipino community as he arrives in Israel for a 4-day visit. The National Economic and Development Authority proposes a transition period as the Philippine economy adapts to federalism. And an honest security guard is hailed as this year's most outstanding citizen of Baguio City. Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter.
For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites.
And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Marato.
And I'm William Theo. Good day.